This is a really cool looking mid-1930s Sparton table radio, model 558B. I've got this here to do a basic electrical restoration on this and maybe some slight cosmetic cleanup, but I'm not going to put too much into the cosmetics because that's not really my specialty, and I'd rather not depreciate the value of the cabinet by doing anything to the finish. This radio is kind of famous for its blue glass mirror cabinet, although this one's definitely seen better days. There's quite a bit of flaking to the mirror silver finish from the inside, and also the chassis has been mounted in the cabinet crooked, so it's making the dial pointer rub on the back of the glass, and also the chassis has bumped the back of the mirror and chipped off the silver. You can kind of see it there. It's happened in a couple spots. And the chrome is pretty pitted on this, but it's relatively intact. Just needs a lot of TLC. So let's take a look around back. This has certainly been worked on at some point in the past. The speaker wires have been spliced and they have really old looking tape on them. Also, the speaker appears to have been either rotated or removed at some point. I think this is probably the original speaker, but I'll have to verify that. But I can see that there's scratch marks around these mounting holes where the studs would normally come through, and there's no longer any fastener there. And we definitely need a new power cord. Looks like mice have eaten half of it. I'm going to start by pulling this chassis out and testing the tubes. Another thing I noticed when I did my initial inspection on this, when I rotate the tuning capacitor, some of these capacitor plates actually rub, so they're going to have to be straightened out. It's not going to tune with a shorted tuning capacitor. So let's very carefully remove this chassis and do an inspection of underside. Now there's definitely been mice in here. Got quite a nest under the chassis, and these are the rubber chassis mounts. The chassis was mounted completely wrong in here. One of the mounts was just wedged between the chassis and the front of the cabinet, and that's why it's been hitting the glass. You can really see all the spots where the chassis knocked off the mirror paint. Really unfortunate that that had to happen. One good thing is it looks like all the rubber mounts are here. The chassis, it's a mess, but I've seen worse. Let's see if I can tip this up really carefully and see how bad underneath is. Oh man. Yeah, I see some things that don't look very good, but hopefully it's all going to be fixable. Certainly a tight fit, and it's going to be a bit difficult to get to some components that have to be changed in here. Oh boy, what do we have here? Looks like several wires that are disconnected from something. That's not good. I hope there's not any missing components, at least major ones. But boy, that's going to be a challenge. The dial face doesn't look too bad. Got a spot from where the pointer was rubbing on it. Well, next step is to try to figure out where those wires go and test the tubes, I suppose, while I've got them handy. Here we've got the Hickok Model 600 tube tester. I haven't had this thing out in quite a while, so I'm going to get all these tubes tested before I go any further, but I'm pretty worried about the underside of the chassis at this point. The tubes are actually the least of my worries, But it's easy enough for me to get that done first so I can put this thing back on the shelf. Well, I've got one bad one so far, this 6K7 tube. It should have a mutual conductance of 1450, and it's barely moving the needle, so that one's toast. Well, the good news is there was only one tube that was bad, but the very bad news is this missing part here appears to have been one of the coils, and I don't know where I'm going to be able to get something like that. That explains why there's several wires that are disconnected here, and in fact there's another one laying down here with tape all over the end of it that I don't know where that was supposed to go, but yeah, I'm going to have to set this aside for now. I don't know if there's going to be anything I'm going to be able to do with this. Oh, that's too bad.